G'day social media fans, it's Big Justin here from the Just Your Average Fishos Facebook and Instagram page, and I'm very, very excited to be coming to you, not so much live, but in a pre-recorded environment from the home of fishing, Mitcham Angling Club, my local angling club, for our new series called Tech Tackle. What are we doing here? Well, we're bringing in special guests and we're showcasing a number of different tackle brands and accessories and bits and pieces that we use in our fishing to get you more in-depth information of what we use and exactly why, and why we're using this particular gear in the fishing reports that you love to read via the Facebook page. Now, this is V2 of Tech Tackle series, and I'm really excited to welcome a very close friend of mine and a person behind the Just Your Average Fishos Facebook page, the man, the myth, the legend behind many fishing reports, Ben the Baron. How are you, mate?
I'm good, yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me here in the club, and thank you so much for the support you've given us to record this series.
It'd just be nice if it was a touch warmer.
Yeah, it's freezing. Look, it's middle of winter in Melbourne at the moment. And I have to say to the audience out there, we put up a clip probably 6 or 12 months ago filming with old mate Lockie O'Reilly, and unfortunately it didn't make it to air because you've just been fishing so much. What the hell have you been up to? Yeah,
it's hard to edit when you've got a fishing rod in hand and you're punching 10 to 15 miles offshore. So priorities, right? So you've got to do what you got to do, and fishing, it should be first.
Yeah.
A lot of us, it's not, but it should be.
Very true. Now, you and I have been fishing together for many, many years, and every winter you shoot up North Coast, and you actually come from there originally, do you?
Yeah, I need to escape the hypothermia because it is real. From, I don't know, winter sets in late April.
Yep.
Stops in early December.
Yep.
Somewhere in there is time to escape this raining sideways, penguins walking past the front door, polar bears in the pool. It's not okay, but the fishing's still good here locally.
It is.
If you can feel your fingertips.
Absolutely. Well, bust out the Travel Buddy pie ovens, and I really hope you're enjoying a warm stew meal while you sit down and watch this new Tech Tackle series with us.
Wait. On the pie oven,
yeah,
you have to wait. That's the bit that gets me, right? So you put them in the pie oven and you start to smell them, and then you get a bit hungry.
Yep.
And you're like, it's time, and you get it. You're like, it feels warm. We're almost there. You take a bite. It's crispy on the outside, frozen on the inside. How do you stop yourself eating that first pie?
Well, luckily enough, you on your boat had a preliminary go with another fisherman before I jumped on your boat, and then you had picked the mark, and it was perfectly warm inside.
Yeah, 4.5 hours later.
4.5 hours later. Yeah. Look, got to go the Travel Buddy. Got to go the little sine wave inverter thing that comes with it, so it keeps a consistent voltage. And I reckon pull them out of the freezer the night before.
Yeah, okay. So spend more than $100 is your...
Spend more than $100. Yeah, absolutely. But we're not here to talk about Travel Buddy ovens, and we're not here to talk about Ben's amazing at fishing adventures. So what I'd like to do now is introduce you to a relatively new tackle brand called Ocean Accessories. Ocean Accessories is a bit of a new player on the block, and it's a one-man band, but it's getting back to that old, faithful, high-quality, handmade right here in Australia, and the range has just expanded. The number of tackle shops that are using his gear has expanded. So let me introduce you to some of the awesomeness in this Tech Tackle episode, because we're looking at essential fishing accessories. And Ben, I know that we can talk about stuff that's cold, and we don't want to touch slimy things, so let's get into it.
Sounds good.
All right, first things first. Snapper season is almost upon us. Essential boat accessory, often long forgotten, the old snapper scaler, all right? Now, these generally made in China these days. This one, handmade, hand-welded from Zoran at Ocean Accessories, available in all good tackle stores. But it has the extra wide gate for the snapper scales and the small ones for smaller fish like whiting.
Do we have to watch out for the police? Because that thing looks like a dead set weapon.
Yeah. Don't have it under the seat in your Hilux.
Copy.
Could be trouble. But this is an absolute weapon. I've been using this for a little while. I actually had this last snapper season, but Ben's been fishing, so we couldn't edit that episode. Really great if you want to scale them, to wrap them in foil, steam them, and then or make a crispy skin snapper on the Weber. Can't go wrong. Feel how sharp that is, mate. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, right.
So Fantastic piece of kit. Must have one of those on the boat. Give it a wash. This one is aluminium, so it's very, very light, easy to handle. Now the next one, which I absolutely love, is the small stainless D-hooker. Again, an essential Melbourne device to have on your boat.
Now, what are you doing with that one after this?
That one, you're not taking it. You're not taking it because you tend to steal my stuff. So this one, fantastic. People would commonly know this as a flatty flipper. Great for de-hooking whiting that have taken it down the gut because it's a very small little hook there. I think it's probably 5 or 6 mil stainless there. Hand welded, all hand polished, perfectly weighted in the hand. Ben, does it get the Barron tick of approval?
It's heavy.
It is heavy in the handle. That's right. You
That's
could even
good.
use that as a bit of a donger if you wanted to.
Oh, well,
But
how's your knee? Have you got reflexes?
how's your knee? Now, here's the thing. Some of those, though, we gave feedback to Zoran and said, Zoran, there's people that want to keep their hands away from, say, school sharks who have a long nose, swell sharks.
Gurnard. You've got to put Gurnard in there.
Gurnard. Yeah, absolutely. So check out this. He had some Viagra one night, got into the shed, and then made this big baby. That's got to be at least 2 feet long, that is.
That's a Gurnard and a half.
That's a Gurnard and a half. So you do not need to get down the throat of the Gurnard with your hands anywhere near it. And let me assure you, pardon the language, everyone, Gurnard tend to make your fingers look like penises if you get spiked. So we call them dick finger fish, and this will guarantee you not to become that. So especially down the gob of a decent swell shark, if something's gut hooked and you want to get that hook out, like sometimes it's better just to cut them off. But what's your thoughts on that one there, mate?
Chunky.
Chunky, not going to bend that in a hurry. Again, all handmade, hand polished, quality 316 stainless, and more importantly, not thin stainless. So what we're seeing is a lot of manufacturers are thinning up their stainless, almost like the downsizing we're seeing in the food industry. You get, less for more. Well,
Isn't it there's 316 and then 326?
302 is another stainless. 316 is the one that you
good
want.
one, yeah.
Is the good one, that's right. So Zoran, well done, mate. But we're not even finished yet. His range has expanded.
This is mine?
No, that is not yours. This was yours and I had to second it back.
You did.
So this is a dangerous little weapon. So this is like your Icky Jimmy for the tuna. Let's say that's the head of the tuna, spiking it in, brain spiking, obviously following Tuna Champion sort of recommendations. And last season when I couldn't catch a tuna to save myself, you said, can I use it so I'll catch and I'll try it?
Yep.
And you did. How'd it go?
Well, I think there's still blood on it.
There's still blood on it.
So it means it went well.
Fantastic. And so very sharp, went in the head okay.
Perfectly.
No problems. And so that's available, again, from all good tackle shops. Now, let's talk rod riggers because they're absolutely essential. We're talking tuna, school tuna. If you don't have outriggers on your boat, and personally, there's a big debate to whether if you're a lure purist and then have outriggers running a whole spread of rods. I personally don't feel you need it. We see a lot of the awesome charterers out there using rod riggers. And the thing that I don't like about rod riggers is they're getting very, very expensive. They're getting very light. They do rust if they're not the great quality stainless.
And they're really good sinkers. So
They are really good
as soon as you
sinkers.
drop them, they sink.
Now, I can recall that you might have dropped one of mine over the side of your boat. You borrowed them?
I did, and you were with me and I dropped it, and then I was out with you and you dropped one of
I
yours.
did drop one. Now, the reason why that happened is because the brand that we had the big piece of rubber on it, and it meant that the rod couldn't easily slide in and out. That's what she said. And it got stuck.
Yeah.
And it went over. So this is Zoran's rod rigger, and I have to say, this is a neat piece of kit. Why? Because it's actually thicker, heavier stainless. He's put more weight in the end where the welding is for the sort of multi-adjustment to go down into your actual rod holder. It is fine hand polished, so it just looks the part. Now you will pay a premium for these, but again, handmade in Australia, full hand welded and polished. Look at the welding seams on those, mate. That it's just next level. However, have a feel of it.
Now, what I like about this without the rubber, the rubber's good, helps some protection, but if you're using proper game rods or something that's thinner, it's not an issue. If you're using older Terrazes or T-curves, they're actually thicker than a normal rod.
And they have the rubber
Correct.
bottom on
And
them.
they would fit into some, they wouldn't fit into others. These seem to have about 2 or 3 mil more tolerance because they don't have the rubber and they fit in there perfectly and they stay.
Now, we can get these at Complete Angler Ringwood, Dandenong, Mick over at Hoppers Crossing. I think hooked up down at Ferntree Gully. I think Zoran and Ocean Accessories are available in about 28 different tackle stores around the state. So he's really expanding, and this is where it gets exciting. So Ocean Accessories started off being, Zoran learnt his artwork of stainless welding and stuff.
Was this his first foray?
This was the first foray, which was the D-hookers, the rod riggers and so forth. And then he found a need for saying, let me get you quality terminal rigging accessories.
Yep.
So sort of to complement the brand. And we've got a selection here. We've got a selection on a table behind us, but let's just go through a few things here.
I'll put this on the table.
You'll put that on the table. All right. So, Lumo sleeves, luminous garfish floats, squid UV lights, lights for end of rods, luminous tube, easy rigs, braid scissors, so rod lanyards. These are fantastic if you're using the rod riggers, and you can hook them up to your game rods to make sure that if they do flop out, in a bit of swell and you manhandle them incorrectly, that they don't go overboard, and available in 2 lengths, so 1.2 or 1.8 metres, and these things are strong as.
But what's important, you need 2. If they're in a rod rigger, you need a lanyard for the rod rigger, and you need a lanyard for the rod. Don't put the rod to the rod rigger, because it's not going to help you. You'll lose both.
You'll lose both. That's exactly right. So this is the 1.2 metre length. It's, I think, 320 kilo rated marine cord.
Right.
So again, all hand cut, tied by him, sourced from Australian cord and Australian suppliers. So Zoran,
and glued.
And glued, yes. So they don't fray. Stainless clip ends. So obviously we've got loop. Which end do you prefer to use what for?
I'm lazy.
Yep.
I put this around the boat, loop it around, and then
Clip on the
around
rod.
the reel seat or the rod.
Okay, makes sense. No problems. I don't think that there really matters. You can do your own thing. Sabiki rigs. He's got them all. You might be able to use that up at the North Coast.
Yep.
And you can take some of those. Give them a try.
Well, there's a lot of slimies up there at the moment, and they're really good at turning themselves into footballs. You drop it with a 6 or 8 ounce sinker, and you drop it down, and the jig stops.
Yep.
And you have 6 slimies all head together.
Yep.
Take the slimies off, take the bait jig off, throw it away, and get another one. So thank you.
So we're going to have to give you a load of this stuff, especially all the glow stuff, beads and so forth. There we are. What beads do you use in fishing? What beads do you fishing? Well, a lot of the luminous stuff you would use for deep dropping.
If I wasn't lazy, then yes, I would make my own.
You would.
Saying that, we have started making our own with smaller hooks to target flametail snapper and some other smaller things that are smaller than a bass. But are we almost onto these guys?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, before we go into that area, please support local, Australian-made, small Australian business, and support your independent tackle stores. Ocean Accessories, Zoran, you've done an amazing job. You've now got an amazing selection. The range of products is increasing all the time, and the stores that is supporting Ocean Accessories and Zoran is expanding all the time. So about 28 stores right around Victoria, going into New South Wales. You can, if you are someone who owns a tackle shop that is watching this particular episode, you can contact Zoran via Ocean Accessories. It is wholesale only, so not retail. So he does support independent stores, and there's beads and all those sorts of things. So beads, we don't use on fishing rigs so much, but
I have been.
Oh, have you?
So pearl perch rigs.
Right.
Pearl perch, they're tasty, right? So you have to chase the tasty things, and they love things that glow. So glow hooks, glow tube, glow beads down here, you're right, doesn't really seem to be a thing.
Unless you're using them in rigging a tuna skirt or something. Yeah, those for gummy schoolie rigs. Yep.
But this.
Yes, this is cool.
Now, snapper season last season, I was out with Pete, a mate of ours.
Yes.
And I would turn all the lights out of the boat, except the anchor light. We both couldn't see, both as blind as a bat, and the only indication that you'd be looking at the rod going, I think it's moving, I think it's moving.
Runs.
I wish we had some of those.
I tell you, it's the simplest little clip. You get these little battery that he sells separately.
Oh, it's a battery.
It's a battery. So yeah, you literally, why don't we actually just cut for 1 second and we're going to light one up.
So, Justin's gone into his tackle box and got some mini nangs.
Mini cherry bombs. These are batteries from China, but these aren't made locally. Stick in the little wick end into as hard as you can. Screw them up. They've got double little O-rings there, and you separate, and that goes around the rod tip. Now, obviously, these are only going to suit pretty fine tip rods, as you can see, but no problem if you put a little bit of tape around them on the rod tip, and that will give you hours and hours of glow tip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Same with the Gar floats, works in the same way.
And I suppose we just unscrew them a bit and...
Yeah, you just unscrew and pull out the battery, and you can reverse around the battery if you want to keep it in there. Okay, and then pop it back in, so you can keep your battery in there, and obviously, hey presto, there you go.
Beautiful.
So, well done Zoran, Ocean Accessories, can't go wrong. Now, while we're talking terminal tackle, there's another fantastic business which makes sort of more of the rigs and bits and pieces more associated with game fishing. I see how they went into your pocket. That was...
They did. They did.
Cheeky bugger.
Well, that's right. The rubbish and the items.
And the items in the pocket. Well
Lots
done.
of pockets.
Commission payment. Now let's talk. We were talking a little bit before about rod riggers and tuna rods and stuff like that. Now, it'd be fair to say that you and I are getting a bit more into bill fishing.
Very, very amateur, but we are trying.
We are trying, but this is just your average fishers, okay?
Yep.
So
yep. We're putting the consistency on average.
now we had a tuna talk at the club recently from the matriarch.
I missed.
You missed. I couldn't believe it. It was Richie Abella from Dreamcatcher Sport Fishing Charters. He is a phenomenal wealth of information, and the one thing that was a very interesting topic for us to discuss is on game rods, whether you have a wind-on or not. Now, some lure purists say no wind-ons, just plat a 37 kilo top shot, 24 kilo, straight to the lure leader because it makes the lure run better and so forth. However, perhaps some of the detractors of that is if you don't have an experienced linesman helping you really work the leader back in and keeping it away from the boat when you finally got a tuna circling around the boat, you're in rough seas, you could ping it on the side of the boat very easily. Wind-ons seem to be very preferential. The problem is there's a whole load of wind-ons out there from tackle shops from a myriad of different brands, and they fail, okay? And Richie has tied his own for many years, but we use another small business, and another club member of ours actually, Ash from Deep Blue Water Tackle. Most will know his business because he supplies tackle shops the myriad of teasers and daisy chains for school tuna, big tuna. However, one part of his arsenal and his product range is he hand makes wind-on leaders. He's been making them for over 40 years. He's the unsung hero of many, many marlin competitions up at Eden, Bermagui.
And I think something not to miss here is he's an engineer.
He's an engineer, that's right.
Engineer, heart and soul into his hobby and his passion and the handiwork on these things. Now, I am not experienced enough to know what the difference is, but a lot of people we know that are experienced and do know the difference really, really rate these.
Yes, so he makes them to IGFA legal lengths, most importantly. They're all made with Jinkai Japanese line. So we're not using any other brand of line, and Jinkai is an amazing brand of line. It's been around for oodles and oodles of years, and its quality, it hasn't changed because its quality is just sensational. Most importantly, these have extra stitching knots. So you get quite a large loop to obviously put onto your double, because some of them come really small, and they're double whipped at the end, waxed at the end where the line comes out, obviously from the Dacron. So the double whipping and waxing means that we're getting a nice smooth sort of roll onto your 37 kilo, or your 24 kilo, whatever you're using it for. And these are available in 150 pound right up to 600 pound. Now, 600 pound is just crazy. These ones are 400 for the sorting outfits that we're going to talk about later.
And that's what I've got in my deep drop outfits as well.
400s.
400, but straight to a braid double.
Right, straight to a braided double.
Braid bimini.
Bimini, right, okay. And you're using quite a bit of weight for deep dropping because you're fishing a lot of current, aren't you?
I am. 2.5, 3.5 kilos of sinkers, but that is nothing compared to the 80 kilos of bass that's coming up the other way. So still on my first wind on.
Yep.
I'm on my second plat because the first one had that much pressure on it. It actually was like a uni knot and went all the way down to the end.
Yeah.
But I cut it off
Yep.
and then put the same wind on back on.
Fantastic.
And it's still there.
It's still there. Well, if that doesn't speak volumes to the quality, then you can't go wrong. And to the point, I think you've used Ash's deep drop rigs as well. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm lazy. I'm not a good swager. I'm not a good terminal tackle person.
Yep.
Ash has them in a packet.
Yep.
You tie on the bimini, you tie on the wind on, you clip it on, you put a light on, and drop it down 300 to 400 meters, and up comes dinner.
Yep.
It's perfect.
If it was only that easy, everyone would do it.
I know.
Coming from an ex-commercial fishing background. But Deep Blue Water Tackle, so it's deepbluewatertackle.com.au. You can actually, this is a sword rig, you can select different colours of skirt, different types of hooks. So all the hooks are, of course, well-known game fishing hooks. This one is a Bakula DX35. There's
He does the Pakulas in his rigs.
He uses Pakulas in his rigs, and he uses obviously the Fujiyamas for the circles, which are out of the commercial fishing background for the deep drop rigs. But for the deep drop rigs, you can choose different mustad styles. I think you're using the tuna circle style.
I'm using 16-0 mustard stainless steel circles.
Can't go wrong with those bad boys. Commercial industry's been using them for years. So Deep Blue Water Tackle, type it into the Google search engine. Ash will hook you up, and is available at Complete Angler Ringwood, Dandenong, and Complete Angler Portland.
Yep.
And I think there's some other shops that he services as well, but you can buy direct off him at deepbluewatertackle.com.au. So I really, really hope that you've enjoyed this new first episode of our Tech Tackle series, covering off ocean accessories, Deep Blue Water Tackle, some of the essential boating accessories that you need. Go get yourself a Dick Finger D hooker. Hot off the press, just before I go, did forget, latest product from Zoran, Ocean Accessories. This is a fine piece of artwork. Now, people go, it's a muncher. Yeah, it is. Don't you hate it when you're trying to mulch pillies and pippies in winter for winter whiting in Western Port? Your hands are freezy, they get oily. You don't want to use the jet wash because it's cold.
You know what's so much better than the one in my boat? What? I have a Star Picket with a plastic cover from the Star Picket, and now it is rusted all through the side of the boat. Wouldn't have happened if I had that. Again, what's that doing after this show?
Well, this one hopefully is going to go in real bad. Okay. We'll see what happens. Sounds like you're going to take a bit of this gear home. Available from all those good tackle shops at the moment. Actually, if you're in need of one of these, speak to your local retailer, because he's been producing them like crazy. And my understanding is that Mick at Hoppers Crossing and George at Complete Angler Dandenong, they went through 200 of these in the first week that they were released.
It's an interesting thing, because the idea behind that is not new. Back in the 80s and 90s, every boat had a burley bucket on the transom, and it always had something like that hanging over the back. But it kind of went out of fashion in Victoria, not so much up the coast, but down here in Victoria, because people weren't using them. They were putting their burley on the bottom. So we didn't have any munches, and you ended up with pilchard spines through your fingers. No more pilchard spines.
Not anymore. And look, you can have a feel of that. She's pretty sharp on
I'm
that
good.
end.
I'm
You're
good.
Don't heat one up and brand yourself with it, but can't go wrong with that. So again, I hope you've really enjoyed our new series, Tech Tackle. We're going to come to you with many, many discussions on tackle, fishing related stuff, going more in depth to the tackle that we're using in our fishing reports. And it's taken us a long time to get here, but thanks for watching. Ben, the unmasking of the Baron, thanks for joining.
I know, nowhere to hide now.
Nowhere to hide now, absolutely. We look forward to seeing you next time. Tech Tackle, Just Your Average Fishers. Check you at the ramp.